When I was a kid, the great escape was the one that got away. I was 10 years old in 1963, the year The Great Escape was released, and yet somehow it slipped right past me when it played at the Bayside Theater. But all my classmates caught it, and that's all I heard about in the schoolyard. I didn't catch it until it finally popped up on TV a few years later, and it was in black and white and panned and scanned and loaded with commercial breaks. It made for a long night in front of the TV. But it was great, and it still holds up. I tried to read Paul Brickhill's book around the same time I saw the movie, but sad to say, I found it all too easy to put down. Of course, I was a lot younger then. Director John Sturges reached a career high point with The Great Escape, and combined with The Magnificent Seven, he directed two of the greatest action-adventure movies ever made. The Great Escape is just that, and what makes it great is the story. But casting and cool have a hand in it as well. The movie is about the attempted escape from German POW camp Stalag Luft 3 by dozens of Allied pilots during the Second World War. In real life, the escape was a British operation all the way, but given the demands of the international box office, popular American actors were cast in various roles. Richard Attenborough plays Bartlett, the head of the escape organization known as X. But looking at the film now, I can't help but feel he's a bit of a martinet. No offense to the real-life character he's based on, of course. He plans to start a second front of sorts by breaking out as many prisoners as possible and creating chaos within Germany itself. But frankly, as a military strategy, it's as vainglorious as Montgomery's Operation Market Garden. It's a plan too far. A plan that ultimately gets 50 of his men killed. And when he gets it, as do 50 others who've been caught, loyal lapdog Gordon Jackson is with him all the way. Gordon Jackson's McDonald comes off as the kind of guy who'll be anyone's best friend. So, was it worth it? I'm not a veteran, so it's not for me to say whether the escape was worth it or not, but the movie certainly is. Steve McQUEEN is the all-American tow-headed kid. He even has his own baseball and glove. I guess he had those on the plane with him when he got shot down, huh? James Garner does not have cool guy DNA. What he does have is humanity in spades. Even when he played an embittered Wyatt Earp in Sturges' later Hour of the Gun, that humanity shone through. James Garner's friendship with Donald Pleasance's Blythe is one of the stronger emotional currents running through the film and ends tragically. Another is Steve McQueen's friendship with Ives. Steve McQueen is not only the king of cool, but he's also the cooler king, which means he gets thrown into solitary a lot. In the next cell is Ives, a diminutive Scotsman. After they're released from solitary, they both plan another escape, but they get caught, so it's back to the cooler for both of them. But Ives is cracking under the strain. This comes to a tragic end when the Americans brew up some moonshine to celebrate the 4th of July. At first, everyone is having a good time. In fact, the cinematography goes slightly soft, reflecting how stoned everyone is. But then suddenly, and quite by accident, the Germans discover the last of the remaining tunnels, and Ives finally cracks. He tries to climb the fence, but is shot down in front of the entire camp. The party is well and truly over. Charles Bronson is back for a third time with both McQueen and Sturges. He's excellent as Danny the Tunnel King, a Polish flyer attached to the RAF who also suffers from claustrophobia. James Coburn also returns for a second round with McQueen and Sturges. Here he plays Sedgwick, an Australian flyer attached to the RAF. His best scenes are after he escapes and travels to Paris by bicycle and freight train. Early in his career, Coburn's youthful eagerness to make it as an actor is quite apparent. but he quickly earned his cool guy chops. David McCallum. Dear Ilya Koryakin, my mom pegged you for a star the first time she watched The Man from U.N.C.L.E. McCallum was part of the British invasion of the 60s. He was cute and mop-topped and the girls loved him, but he was also a fine actor. Donald Pleasance is Blythe, the forger who's slowly going blind. He's another actor who had a great run in the 60s with this, The Great Escape, Will Penny, Fantastic Voyage, and of course as Blofeld in You Only Live Twice. James Donald does what James Donald does as he does in The Bridge on the River Kwai. Damn, there's a lot of people in this movie. Let's skip the rest. All right, it's time to talk about the motorcycle chase. Steve McQueen rode his motorcycle to superstardom in this movie. Some of the stunt work may seem tame by today's standards, but the scene where McQueen comes bouncing over those Bavarian hills on his motorcycle and Elmer Bernstein's score opens full throttle, well, you're watching movie magic happen right before your eyes. Yes, McQueen's friend Bud Eakins did the famous jump over the barbed wire fence, but McQueen publicly copped to it, and in so doing further cemented his place in cool guy heaven. Except that there are stories that McQueen did the jump for fun off camera, and did it more than once. You know, it really does look like him. But for me, the coolest moment happens before the jump. He's racing alongside the fence and spotting German soldiers advancing towards him, he slides the bike to a brief stop. It's McQueen's body language and the way he handles the machine. He's dressed in slacks and a sweatshirt, and he's so comfortable that he could be mowing his lawn on a Saturday morning. The very last shot of the chase has McQueen tangled in the barbed wire, and when he stands up and glares at the Germans, for a brief moment he reminded me of James Cagney. In the end, it's a great movie. So if you missed it, try catching it. Just don't let it get away. Otherwise, it's 30 days in Sekula.